So I just got back from watching Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Kind of a generic title, honestly, but anyway, sequel to 2021's Ghostbusters Afterlife, which was the legacy sequel to Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, which came out in the 80s. We're ignoring Ghostbusters 2016 because not very many people liked that one. So yeah, I have no super fond nostalgia for the Ghostbusters. I didn't watch it until I was an older teenager. I'm more in love with the idea of the Ghostbusters franchise than I am with any of the movies. I like the first movie, haven't seen Ghostbusters 2. And I like Ghostbusters Afterlife. So there hasn't been a Ghostbusters movie I haven't liked. So that's something. So I was quite looking forward to this one, just to see what fresh new ideas they could do, because the only Ghostbusters movies that I've seen both involve Zool. So I was interested to see what a Ghostbusters movie that has a new villain could be. Um, and unfortunately, this movie is very meh, which I was kind of worried about looking at the trailers. The trailers didn't grab me that much, but sometimes a good movie can have a bad trailer, and a bad movie can have a great trailer. You never know. Unfortunately, this movie is just like the trailers, which is odd because there's a lot of stuff in the trailers that are not in the movie. I don't know what it is with Sony and just making trailers that don't really have scenes that just aren't in the movie. Other movie studios have done it before, but for some reason Sony does it a lot, and I don't know why they keep doing it. But anyway, this movie's biggest problem is that it goes through the motions. Everything you've seen here, you've seen before, and they don't do anything new with it or anything that entertaining. There's too many characters, so none of the characters get the focus that they need for the story to have any real personal depth to it or any charm. I mean, the Ghostbusters movies have never been known for being deep philosophical dramas or anything like that. But, the first movie had your four guys, three for a bit, and then it became four. And Afterlife had the descendants of the Spangler family. There weren't too many characters to juggle here. And for some reason, they decided in this movie to just put everybody in the movie. Just throw everybody up against the wall. And there are some characters here that there's no reason for them to be there in the story. They're pointless. So I kept wondering, why are you even here? You're not doing anything to the story. You're only in a couple of scenes and then you're gone. So that was unfortunate because when we're spending time with these characters, when we could be developing the characters that are more relevant to the plot. But that being said, there is stuff in this movie that is good. It's not an awful movie by any stretch. There are some fun jokes. Kumail Nanjiani's character got the most laughs in my theater by far. So he's pretty funny. He's pretty good in this, in my opinion. Dan Aykroyd returns, and he is very charming. He's very good. Bill Murray is not in this movie very much, but when he is, he's entertaining, especially his one scene with Kumail Nanjiani. And Paul Rudd just brings charm no matter what he does. And then McKenna Grace, who is technically our lead, Phoebe, I think her character's name is. I'm interested to see where she goes as an actress because she's very talented, and she shines in this movie as well as kind of a sort of older, more teenage Phoebe Spangler. I hope that's her name. And they do a good job building up the villain in this movie, I will say. The villain is new. It's a new type of bad guy, and they do a good job hyping him up. Unfortunately, when he does show up, it's very much like, oh, okay, you're one of these guys. Big, huge thing. I will take over the world. And it's like, okay, nothing new, nothing interesting here. So I was kind of disappointed by that. I was hoping we'd get, there's no difference between this and Zool. At least Zool had like an interesting thing where Zool would be like, are you a god? And stuff like that. Like, that's kind of interesting, but this guy's got nothing. He's just doing standard villain stuff. And so you're getting nothing interesting from the villain. Your heroes are too spread thin to get much out of them at all, except for a couple funny scenes here and there. And there's just too much going on, and none of it is super interesting to justify watching this movie for any extended period of time. Like, I don't plan on watching this movie again. I'm not angry that I saw it. It just wasn't. It was kind of whatever. So, which is unfortunate. It's hopefully, if this franchise does continue, they can maybe shave some of the fat off and maybe try to take it in a fresher direction instead of trying to rely on so many characters and so much nostalgia bait. That's something I haven't talked about either. There's so much nostalgia in this movie that it's almost more or equal to Ghostbusters Afterlife. And in Ghostbusters Afterlife, it made sense because it was a legacy sequel, right? It'd been a couple decades since Ghostbusters 2, and so it's time to, make you feel nostalgic and stuff like that. But this one, we've already done that. We've done all the nostalgia cameos already in Afterlife. We don't need more here. So, again, but that works on people sometimes, though. When you see a scene or a character that's from the first movie, you go, oh, I know that, and you feel good inside, and it works most of the time. It didn't really work for me because I have no true nostalgia for Ghostbusters, but I'm sure if someone grew up watching Ghostbusters since they were 8 years old, it probably worked on you. And no shame, no shame. It's just, it was real noticeable for me. So, yeah, like I said, not something I would really ever see myself watching again, unlike Ghostbusters, the first Ghostbusters, or even Afterlife. I wouldn't mind watching that movie again, just to see how much better it is than this one. But, yeah, if you are a big, hardcore Ghostbusters fan and you want to see this movie, by all means, go see it. Maybe you'll enjoy it. But if you're just looking for something to watch this weekend, I'd say your money is better spent watching Dune Part 2. Even if you've already seen it, go watch it again. That movie deserves it. But